Hi, Dr. Lim here. With the last video on the management of vitality of the body, we basically have completed the basic training of genotherapy. After this, we shall go into advanced genotherapy and herbology. The problem is not all of you are interested in advanced training. Basically, this is a training for you to become a herbalist and a health consultant. However, a lot of people are interested in advanced teaching. Indeed, many of you do keep on asking me to teach the advanced theory and also the complete course in herbology. This is not easy at all, as basically it should be taught at university level. I have been thinking about this for a long time now. If I do not teach the advanced level, then genotherapy will always remain in its infancy. If we teach the advanced level, many will drop out due to difficulty in learning. Genotherapy is just like engineering. The basic principle is simple, but the advanced application is not easy. But I decided to continue the teaching of advanced genotherapy. I shall divide the teaching into a lecture series and a discussion or talk series. The lecture series is basically strict training. You may or you may not understand it, and you may have to read it or watch the video over and over again to understand it. But the discussion talks are more general in nature, and I would like to make it as simple as possible. I am the promoter of simplicity, and I do not like complicated theory. Actually, over the years, I have simplified the teaching of herbs. So hopefully, many of you who love to become a herbalist will like the future lecture series. All the while, Dr. Savera is helping me to set up the online university for the future teaching of herbs and some other important teaching like the sunya and some other skills. We actually set up a proper website to set up the formal teaching. So in future, I shall upload the video in a formal website and set up a link here that all of you who are interested to go there to study the formal lectures. Because of this, I touched on hexagenous section theory and also the hexagenous reflexology. The series is actually a formal teaching. Later, due to making of various talk, we have discontinued it for some time now. With this formal teaching, we shall continue the previous lectures. Today, I have nothing much to teach you, just prepare you for what we are going to teach in future. I'm going to teach on herbs using the ancient text Sang Hanlun, the discussion of harmful diseases, as a teaching text for herbs. You may wonder, now it's modern time, why still using the text that was written almost 2,000 years ago? The reason is very simple. This is the first formal herbal books written in Chinese. Since it is the first book, the theory adopted are very basic and easier to understand. This book still exists and is learned thoroughly in today's traditional Chinese medicine. The herbal formulas are still widely applied. Why using the old and ancient herbal formula? The reason is also very simple. The herbal formula has been used for thousands of years. Its application and effectiveness is tested, and it is tested on human beings and not on animals. So the results are very reliable. And over the year, so many doctors recorded down the application and successful testimonies. This is extremely helpful when we learn the herbal formula. You may ask, why should we learn the herbal formula? There are two aspects that are important. First, you have to learn about the body system first. Without understanding the body system, you cannot apply the herbal formula. In this way, we can teach the body system in a systematic way. I always told my students, even if you are not interested in herbology, no harm in spending some time learning it, as you can at least understand how our body functions and how reactions can come about. Most importantly, you can understand the language of the body. Other than learning the body language and body system, you learn about herbs. Now, for the herb side, I'm one of the very few herbalists using the common vegetable to replace the herbs. I always joke, my herbal student need not go to the mountain to collect the herbs, but go to the supermarket or veggie market to get all the veggie needed. This is most probably the greatest contribution for me, replacing many ancient herbal formula with modern vegetables. As I told you before, my father is a herbalist. The railways beside my house was his pharmacy. Any herbs he needed, he collected along the reserve land of the railways. I will never forget the day I followed him to collect the herbs for the patient. And he, together with my mother and Uncle Chong, always pointed to the herbs that they often use and told me its application. They are the fresh herbalists. And nowadays, this kind of herbalist is like a dinosaur, going extinct soon. I do not want the art die in my hand, So I revised back the tradition with common vegetable. You may not go to the wild to collect the herbs, just using the day-to-day vegetables. It is interesting to learn the fresh herbs and use a day-to-day veggie as a replacement for the wild herbs. Another important aspect is I try to introduce edible herbs and plants into the dining table. When DXN is building the factory in Silipit, India, I can at least identify a dozen herbs around the factory compound. Dr. Savira identified the Ayurvedic herbs and identified the Chinese and tropical herbs that I know. Many of these herbs are edible. We can eat them as veggie. Some are very good to make into herbal tea. Then of course you can dry it, powder it and make it into globules. As I promised you, in future some of the Sunya camp, we shall demonstrate to you how to dry and powder the herbs and how to make it into water and honey globules. In a sense, we are keeping the tradition that have been passed down to us through thousands of years. These traditions are still very useful and can treat so many health problems. There are numerous cases the patients are rejected by a hospital and sent home to wait for their day. Due to this day-to-day herbs, we revive their herbs. Now, by following this series, we shall pass down the torch to you. As the author of Sang Han Lun, Zhang Zhongjing, mentioned all of us to study the science of herbs. In one hand, we can take care of our own health. In the other hand, can treat our patients, our parents, and those who are dear to us. So, be ready. We are going on the journey of herbology. This is a long journey. Many of you will be dropped down on the way. They are my way. As Buddha said, those who are well learned, even if they are dropped out like a withered flower, it dry out, but the fragrance remained. In the next video, we are going into formal teaching of herbology. Wish all of you a happy and interesting study ahead. See you again. Bye-bye.